Computing the 92 ACT season requires few updates from 91. GM champ, Budweiser Triple Crown, and ACT points champion. Campbellville, Ontario Wizard Junior Hanley has had almost complete control of the ACT this season, duplicating his 91 feet.
Well, it's a lot easier going into this race, like we can really race the way the car races, and we don't have to wait or take chances or whatever to make sure we don't crash. So we'll probably crash out this race. But it feels really good, to win the championship again, and like it was a lot harder the second year than it was the first year.
Junior heads into the final 92 ACT entry on Raceline with another championship already clinched. But man the calculator for point positions 2 through 10. It's simply far too close to call.
Yeah, it's a lot closer than we were hoping. We'd like to come to the last race trying to go for the championship, but we really need to protect second place this time.
Unable to catch Junior now, Oshawa's Randy McDonald can feel heat from Robbie Crouch, who's just 36 points out of second place. And remember, the Tampa Tornadoes won the last 2 shows in a row.
I think it's a slim chance. Randy's been running so well. I think he's got it locked up unless he's got some really bad luck, and I'm not counting on it. He's been running too well this year.
Points behind Hanley is the story at Thompson International Speedway, Thompson, Connecticut, on our Summer of Thunder Tour 92. It's a crisp autumn day in Connecticut, and this time of year in this part of the country you expect to see dazzling scenery from the changing colors of the leaves. And what better way to view that spectacle than alongside a stock car spectacle at Thompson International Speedway in Thompson, Connecticut. Hi again, everybody. I'm Eric Thomas, along with Dave Moody and John Massingbird, and welcome to the Chevrolet 100. Dave, this place very challenging, and Thompson is one of the best-known short ovals in the Northeast.
This was the first asphalt stock car racing track built in the United States of America. It's been in continuous operation for over 40 years, and it's a great racetrack, literally built with these kind of cars in mind. Very fast, very high banked. It's a real challenge.
Mathematically, Junior Hanley's already clinched the 1992 ACT title, but there's some other drivers underneath him that are bound and determined to finish 92, Dave, red hot.
Well, everybody, with the exception of Junior Hanley, is right in the middle of a point battle. Hanley has clinched the title, but from Randy McDonald in second, Robbie Crouch in third, all the way down to the 14th place driver, everybody on the field can either lose spots today or gain spots.
For more, let's go trackside and John Massingbird.
Well, gentlemen, thank you. So often the story has been weather this summer, and this weekend's no different. A little bit different setup for us this time around. We're going to roll right in and grid the cars, or without gridding the cars, and just roll right into the race. Gord Wallace, crew chief of Kim Wallace, congratulations first off on being Rookie of the Year.
Thanks, John. Really appreciate that. Our guys are hyped today. We run well here today. That we definitely got the rookie deal sold up. The Flexmore Chevy Lumen is strong today. We're going to the front.
What's Kim tell you about the track out there, Gord? It looks a little rough in some sections.
Kim likes the track, John. The track is a little rough. It's our style of racetrack. We like the high banks. We like the high speed. We're geared for it, and we're going to be tough out here today.
We'll have more when we return on Raceline in a moment.
Raceline is brought to you by GM Parts, the expert choice. Kodak Gold Plus Film. You can't keep the moment without Kodak. Castrol XLR, the oil engineered for today's cars. Revell, the world's model maker. And by Budweiser Racing. It's a Bud race.
On the pole for the Chevrolet 100 from Oshawa, Randy McDonald can't catch Junior for the points lead, but watch out for Robbie Crouch. He can catch Randy for second.
Starting on the outside, Junior Hanley, he's locked up the title. He's here just to race for the win today.
Kevin LePage out of Shelburne, Vermont in a three-way shootout for 4th, 5th, and 6th in points with Zardo Sr. and Brad Layton. He's inside row 2.
And on the outside, he's locked up a title of his own. 1992 Rookie of the Year, Kim Wallace of Peterborough, Ontario.
One of the local runners, Jim McCallum out of North Oxford, Maine, makes his Raceline debut in the Camaro.
Outside McCallum to go 6th, Dave Whitlock, Petrolia, Ontario, in the Motorcraft Ford Thunderbird.
Dave Whitlock has made a nice charge here. Second to Kim Wallace in the rookie points. Balance of the field here as the ACT pace car rolls around. Robbie Crouch, as we mentioned off the top, has won the last 2 in a row. He goes for the natural hat trick here today.
And Crouch, despite what he said in the opening, Eric, I guarantee you, he does not come in here today satisfied or even thinking about third place. There's not a man on that crew that doesn't think that they can win this race and finish second in the overall.
Ralph Nason in row number 13, one of the few drivers out here, Dave, that's actually competed on this track before. As a matter of fact, the top 20 in points have never seen this place before.
Last time the American Canadian Tour was here, 1986. There's been a lot of turnover since then, so this really is a shot in the dark for many of these drivers.
Here's the math. Junior Hanley's got it locked up, and look at the chase between McDonald and Robbie Crouch. Zardo Sr., Beaver Dragon, Kim Wallace, 7 through 12. A lot of places are going to change by the time the checkered flag falls here this afternoon.
Pace car is set to come in turn number 3. It's Chevrolet and Ford side by side in row 1. McDonald on the inside, Hanley on the outside. We've seen this before. Final time in 1992, and the green flag is out.
John Holbert with the green, you're right, and the Chevrolet 100 on race line from Thompson, Connecticut is underway, and you're right. Up front, the 72 Ford of Junior Hanley and the GM Parts Pro Shop Chevy Lumina of Randy McDonald, and what a whole shot for Junior.
Something that will bear watching over the course of the race. The locals, the drivers that run here on a regular basis, say that the outside line is actually faster. On a restart late in the race, they say you want to be on that high line because it enables you to hold your speed through those high banked, long corners.
Corners is the story here at Thompson. It's kind of like running in a large paper clip, Dave. Long straightaways front and back and high bank corners at either end. Junior came out here, did a 360 in practice, but he's got it figured out now. The length over Randy McDonald for the lead, about 5 or 6 car lengths.
One of the highest speed, highest horsepower tracks on the American Canadian Tour. Speaking of horsepower, there's a fella that's working with less than the competition. Robbie Crouch in car number 48 taking his final ride in the V6 powered automobile. Gets a little bit of a weight break, but that car is illegal next year. The V6s are out on the American Canadian Tour after today.
Sony Dynamax Wallcam giving you an idea here of this banking at Thompson. The idea is to go hard into the corners, Dave, get up to the top of the banking, then swoop down to the middle groove to the high side that you were talking about. But that's okay if you're running by yourself. When you're running with a pack of cars like right here, as Crouch drops down to the low side of the 27 of Kim Wallace here, you've got to try and find your own line, otherwise you're going to be in trouble.
Robbie Crouch has definitely found the line. He moves under Jim McCallum. He moves under Kim Wallace. He is closing in quickly now on the third place automobile of Kevin LePage, who's just about a car length behind Randy McDonald. At the front of the field, though, Junior Hanley, he's checked out on this one. He is way out in front, just riding by himself right now, and that's not a bad way to be.
A little more in the handling story, Dave, too. It was kind of funny to watch all these guys come back into the pits after the first practice, thrashing around with shocks and springs after they watched Junior uncustomarily going all the way around in the circle.
Well, I mentioned how the last time the ACT was here was 1986. During that era, they ran steel-bodied cars, very much like a Busch Grand National NASCAR racer. So these guys really, even the ones that have been here before, have zero baseline to work from in terms of setting up these chassis. I saw more springs and shocks rolling through the pits today than I've seen the whole year combined.
All right, now look at Kevin LePage. Mentioned him. He's got to get up front there. He wants a top 5 finish in the points. He's got to get up there. Bill Zardo Sr. breathing down his neck. Brad Layton as well. Now the challenge is on here with Randy McDonald. Likes to run that high line up there. I don't know if that's where he wants to run. LePage is really putting the heat on him here.
Not only does Kevin LePage need a good finish, he's heard on the radio, I'm sure, that Robbie Crouch is beginning to heat things up one spot behind him. McDonald in the 0-1, LePage in the 21. You can see LePage with the handling advantage as Randy McDonald pushes high through the corners.
Sony Dynamax underneath the bumper cam, giving you a look here at the 21 of Kevin LePage and the Donat Flamand Allen Lumber Ford Thunderbird drops it down low. McDonald hangs onto his line here.
That's, as we mentioned, that outside line enables you to hold your momentum better coming off the corner. Obviously, LePage has the better handling race car. He can stick it down on the inside line, but McDonald, with more momentum, out-drags him on the straightaways.
The blue car in the distance, obviously the 48 of Robbie Crouch. Now LePage tries it again down low. McDonald holds his line, doesn't get shook.
And you can see the fastest car of this trio is definitely Robbie Crouch in the 48. Right on the bottom. Whoa, Randy McDonald is way high.
You don't want to go that high in the banking. That's
We've
up in
got
the loose
trouble.
stuff.
Kim Wallace is around. We've got something down in the corners.
Yeah, look, you see it on the track here, Dave. Fluid or something. This might be the culprit. Yeah, Brad Layton in the 1X. And what a tough break for this young man here, fighting for a top 5 position in points as well. They put a different motor in the car when he popped one in practice, but he had popped another one here.
Layton had 0 laps of practice today. Lost the power plant on the first lap of the opening practice. They spent all morning and most of the afternoon replacing it. And unfortunately, it looks like they're 0 for 2 in the engine department today.
Brad, a rough afternoon. Death smoke, it looks terminal.
Yeah, it sure is. I think we're done for the day. Too bad. The guys worked really hard putting the spare motor in. You know, I hate it when this happens, but you know, we tried our hardest to stay in the top 5. It doesn't look like it's going to be ours this year.
Tough break for Brad Layton, and the 1X car goes out very early in the running of this Chevrolet 100.
And you know, Eric, it's been a tough late season for Brad Layton. 1 week ago, he took a savage ride into the concrete at the Oxford Plains Speedway up in Maine, was pulled out of the car unconscious as the car burst into flames. You can see it's been no picnic for his crew either. This is earlier today as they pulled one motor out, put another one in. You can see that's another one of those 6-bangers that is no good after today. Actually, that one's no good right now.
Exactly, and the one that's going to go in here isn't exactly a new motor. It's been sitting on the shelf for a while. A little rust around the exhaust ports, some dust as well. Let's have a look at what happened here to bring out the yellow flag. It was the Brad Layton machine putting down all kinds of oil, and around we go. Oh, hang on to your gravel. That is one heck of a ride.
I'll tell you what, this is not a place where you want to get around, because if you look all the way around this track, concrete on the outside line. Back in the old days, there used to be huge sand piles on the outside of this racetrack, 2 and 3 stories high. Now it's concrete all the way. It's very difficult to do what Kim Wallace just did, do a 360 without hitting something hard.
That was the 27 of Kim Wallace, you're right, with the camera on board going all the way around. Didn't hit anything, luckily. Now the ACT Chevrolet pace car ducks in. Junior Hanley on the front with Randy McDonald. Green flag from John Holbert once again, and we're off and running once again on the Chevy 100.
And so much for the outside line being the advantageous line on the restart, as Junior Hanley down low pulls away as Dave Whitlock goes topside in the 92. He's in trouble.
He is going backwards in a hurry here. Something mechanically wrong with a man who finished second in the Bosch ACT rookie points this year. The CASCAR champion from last year, slowing down in a hurry.
Oh, that's too bad for David Whitlock. He had a tough start to the 1992 season, failed to qualify for a number of races early on, but that team has really come on strong. Yellow flag is out, and Dave Whitlock in the Motorcraft Ford, they're going to need some assistance getting back onto pit road.
Yellow flag to slow it down for the second time here this afternoon at Thompson on Raceline. And something wrong with the Whitlock 92. He is stuck up there. He told me, Dave, one of the main reasons for his turnaround second half of the year, yes, right front tire has gone down into the pits. He will go, is coming back to speedways for the second time. There's a team that worked with a clean slate. They had nothing to compare it with, but the team got used to the car, got used to the racetracks, and that's why it really came on in the second half.
Top 5 as they stand. Hanley on top. McDonald, Crouch now up to 3rd. Kevin LePage and Jim McCallum in the number 5 spot.
McCallum is running strong, but there's a good reason for that. He's a regular runner at Thompson, isn't he?
He knows this track very well. This is only his 2nd career start on the American Canadian Tour. His first came a week ago in Oxford, Maine, finished in the top 5.
Trivia time, brought to you by Performance Racing News, North America's Motorsport Authority. Unfamiliarity with the track? Well, not really. One driver still active with ACT has won a race here at Thompson, but who is it? Is it Robbie Crouch, Beaver Dragon, or Claude Leclerc? Give you a couple of minutes to think about it. Give you the answer later, Dave.
Even another little hint. He won the last time the Tour was here back in 1986. Probably won't help much, though. That's a long time ago.
Don't give it away. Don't give it away. Restart. And Junior and Randy just pick up where they left off, and Hanley's got that lower groove that seems to be quick for him. Now he switches to the middle part of the banking.
I think the man to watch right now, that blue 48 of Robbie Crouch. He has come from the number 6 starting position. He's up to 3rd. No question, aside from Junior Hanley, who really has not been tested so far, Crouch may be the fastest guy on the racetrack right now.
Junior Hanley has been up front right from the get-go here, looking for his 10th win of the season out of 23 starts. That is 3 more wins than last year.
He's already over $250,000 in posted awards. Anything he makes from here on is just gravy. That's a pretty ritzy neighborhood, $250,000 for a summer's work.
Certainly is. 2nd dominating year for the Campbellville Hot Shoe. Now look at the pressure that Crouch has got here on Randy McDonald. The guys that are fighting underneath Junior Hanley, our story right from the top is right here in front of you. Randy McDonald and Robbie Crouch, and there's the fight for 2nd place, also in the points too.
This is a double fight for 2nd place. 2nd on the racetrack, 2nd in the points. Now, Robbie Crouch is going to have to do more than just pass Randy McDonald on the track to get 2nd in the point standings, but He'll take it one thing at a time. Crouch has made good progress in the 48. He's heating it up right now for the Ontario Golden Boy.
Kevin LePage, there he is in the 21. He's part of this fight too. And just out of your picture on the right-hand side of your screen, Beaver Dragon is up near the top 5 as well.
This is a Beaver Dragon kind of racetrack. The faster they go, the better the Beav likes it. Hasn't won a race in 1992. He thinks maybe today could be his day.
Well, we talked to him. He says, I could use a few more horsepower to try and out-drag Race Junior. He says, but don't worry, I'll be back in 93. And all the stories going around, it's nice to have a guy like Beaver, a 2-time champion in this series, come back for another season.
I've never known a race driver yet that didn't need just a little bit more horsepower. There's Kim Wallace in the 27, right on the back bumper of Bill Zardo Jr. And behind Wallace, a car that we haven't seen a lot of so far in 92, that's Mike Rowe from Turner, Maine. The winningest driver in the history of Maine's Oxford Plains Speedway. Only his second time in this car. 1 week ago, he nearly won it all on his home track. Mike Rowe is a big-time racer, and he's going to be a factor here today.
Now look at Kim Wallace in the 27 of the Flexmore Chevrolet, gobbling up the other Lumina of Bill Zardo Jr. in the Zardo Scrap Metal Chevrolet. Mike Rowe trying to stay up in there as well, but it hasn't been a great year for Zardo Jr., has it?
No, it hasn't. He really has labored due to lack of sponsorship.
Yeah.
There has not been the money in that operation that they really need to go out and run well on a top 10 basis. But Little Z, as he's called around the pits, no question, he has the talent. If he had a little bit of backing to go with it, he'd be a top 10 runner every week.
Randy McDonald and Robbie Crouch and Kevin LePage battle for second and third, and up front, it is still the 72 of Junior Hanley.
Hanley so far has been pretty much without challenge with the exception of a couple of restarts. The races going on back further in the pack, and here's one of them. Mike Rowe in car number 8, he started 22nd on the field. He has broken into the top 10 now, and he is running that outside line. Mike Rowe has raced here before, and look at that. Boy, that number 8 car has got some horsepower on the outside.
Use Roger LaPearl in the 00 perfectly as the decoy. Boxed in Kim Wallace, and Mike Rowe takes off. He knows how to get around here. He's got that handling, that middle groove that you talked about coming on, especially the banking on the backstretch.
Well, Mike Rowe continues his march from deep in the pack, and I'll say it again, he may be a factor in this thing if he keeps running the way he is. Here's the 15 of Derek Lynch, the 83 Jeff Taylor, yet another one of those young drivers from the state of Maine, making only his second start of the year on the American-Canadian Tour. A lot of folks think he's one of the stars of the future.
Talking to Derek Lynch in the pits before this whole thing began, Dave, he says, I'm happy with the way the car is set up and getting around here. The engine's a little tired. Last race of the year, he says, again, he could use a little more horsepower. But he's going to try and stay out of trouble and make his way around here, but he is down on power.
You can see Junior Hanley in the 72, around the 77 of Rainy LaLumiere to put that car down a lap. Pretty much just keeping the field at arm's length, and we got a slider through the infield. That's Danny Knowles Sr. in car number 61, sliding across the infield grass, just past the start-finish line, has punched up the cosmetics a bit. The car is running. We remain under green, but I think he's going to have a tough time getting back on course without a yellow.
Danny Knowles Sr. out of Buffalo, New York, as the yellow does come out here. Long-time late model campaigner in Southern Ontario and Western New York. And, of course, there's Danny Knowles Jr. out here in car number 6, but it was Dad this time that messed up.
Let's go to John in the pits.
Well, what turned out to be what we thought was death smoke was simply looked like a couple of oil lines have come loose. You can see the Brad Layton crew under the car right now, tightening up the lines that run back and forth between the dry sump pump and the oil pump itself. The crew is getting under the car, tightening the lines up, and they'll be putting oil into the dry sump tank in an effort to get Brad Layton back out into the battle.
Brad Layton does want to get out of here. Don't forget that fight for 4th, 5th, and 6th in the points. He can't spend much more time in the pits. Okay, have you got an answer? Which driver currently with the Tour has won here at Thompson before? Crouch, Dragon, or Leclerc?
The answer is C, the Canadian Ironman himself. Claude Leclerc won the Southern 100 here at Thompson Speedway back in 1986.
And we've got more from Thompson on Raceline in a moment. You know, people involved in the sport of ours can get totally immersed in it. So much so that they may not have time to think of much else. And that can be hard on families. Unless, of course, you can get your own family to work right alongside. 51-year-old Stan Meserve has been Chief Tech Inspector for ACT since '85. The job is straightforward. Make sure everyone is legal. But what kind of credentials do you need to be tech inspector? Well, being a driver yourself helps. And Stan still jumps in a Pro Stock late model once in a while. And he is still the only Maine resident to run the Daytona 500. And that was back in the 60s.
Well, we'd been racing around home and had some success, and had some people that backed us, and had a chance to move on, and thought we'd give it a try, and that was obviously a large step. We tried it, had a good time. Wish I'd have waited later in my career.
The better half of the Meserve racing team is Stan's wife, Diane, and she's handled public relations for the American Canadian Tour the last 2 seasons.
Well, when I first arrive at the track, I handle the back gate registration. I sign in the competitors and their crews. And then once the actual racing begins, I usually tend to the press room along with Marjorie Parker. I also act as a liaison between the tour and the corporate sponsors, the industrial people, things like that.
The Meserves do a good job and are well respected. ACT President Tom Curley.
Well, his dedication of putting the rules together for 80 cars and then teching them with literally no problems at all, and then stepping forward in a time of need when Brad Layton got on fire. There aren't a lot of people that would have put themselves on the line like that, and everybody's indebted to him. That's the kind of dedication he brings to us.
Now, just in case you think the Meserves get enough racing at the track, they're also in the business of building race cars, manufacturing the Distance chassis. Distance from Di and Stan. Several ACT regulars run the Distance chassis, including the driver of car 15, Derek Lynch.
Yeah, we've had a lot of luck with our Distance race car. We bought the car from Stan, and they were real good as far as service to deal with, and the car's been easy to repair. It seems to handle well at all the race tracks. It's not partial to short tracks, big track. Works well. You know, and we've had no trouble at all, you know, replacement parts, stuff like that. So we're real pleased with it, and, you know, we're going to continue to run it in the future.
With Stan and Diane working together at the track, here's the stock question. Are they ever guilty of bringing their work home with them?
Oh, yes, we are. We get in the van to head home after a race event, and the first thing we do is start discussing what happened that day at the racetrack, or the week before, or even last year.
Oh, no, it never leaves. This is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Being an official is like a 180-degree turn, and it's kind of refreshing. It's different thought process and all that, so it's absolutely different, but it's all racing.
So the Meserves build race cars, they race cars, they inspect them, and they work with the sponsors and the tracks that help showcase the race cars. But it's a family monopoly. I don't think anybody on the American Canadian Tour minds at all. Stan and Diane Meserve, two of racing's colorful people, brought to you by Kodak.
Well, Eric, speaking of monopolies, Junior Hanley monopolizing the front position in this race so far. The 72 has been the leader all the way. He's at the front right now over McDonald, Crouch, LePage, and a new man in the number 5 spot, Harmon Beaver Dragon, sneaking up there into the top 5.
Yeah, Beaver was doing a good job there back in, 4th and 5th, and just watching everybody else thrash up front. All right, RPMs come up, the roar comes up, the green flag goes up, and the Chevrolet 100 is underway again, and another Jack Rabbit start. We've said that before, but it just fits so well for Junior Hanley on these restarts.
Hanley with horsepower to burn. You can see crossed up the car just a little bit. The back end actually trying to outrun the front end on the Molson X machine, but Hanley has it out in front and immediately reestablishes a 5-car length lead as they play a little bump and run now for 2nd and 3rd.
Look at these guys going at it here. Crouch on the 48 got into the back end of Randy McDonald in the 0-1, and LePage is there just inches from the McDonald ride.
Right behind Crouch is Beaver Dragon, right behind LePage is Jim McCallum, and right behind McCallum from 22nd place is Mike Rowe in car number 8.
Mike Rowe's doing a fine job out here, but everybody wants 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. These are the guys we mentioned off the top of the show. LePage was going to make his charge to the front early. We're not anywhere near the halfway mark. He knows he has to have a good finish today to make that top 5 of the points.
And Eric, on a track as fast as Thompson, a 100-lap race really is a sprint.
There's
true. No time for a lot of strategy. They're not talking about pit stops, tire changes, fuel stops, none of that. This is mash the gas and let it ride till you see the checkers. There's some pretty good mashing going on right here.
Randy McDonald in the 0-1. He's won 4 events this year. He's been kind of disappointed in not being able to catch Junior in ACT points and the GM points. But hey, no wins last year. 4 this year, I'd be very satisfied with 92.
Randy McDonald's career to date on the American Canadian Tour had 2 feature victories until 1992. He's got 4 this year. Certainly that's got to be viewed as a success, although I know McDonald, a former GM Series champion, wanted to win himself a championship this year, but hey, with this guy on the racetrack, everybody's been fighting for second best.
And I'm going to tell you what, event in and event out here on Raceline with the American Canadian Tour, it has been Randy McDonald, the guy who can consistently keep up with Junior Hanley.
There are those that will argue that over the last half of the season, Randy McDonald has actually been the dominant driver. Hanley has had his problems over the second half, especially in the last 30 days. He took a hard ride, a grinding crash at the Beech Ridge Motor Speedway in Maine about 30 days ago. Bruised himself up pretty well, in particular his ribs. He has not won since then. But right now, Junior Hanley is not the story. This is the story. This is short track drafting at its best.
Yeah, you're going to get a mouthful of Robbie Crouch there in the 48, the bumper cam here, out of the back of the LePage number 21.
Well, they've got all winter long to repair any body damage that might be done here. So Robbie Crouch is driving it hard as he and McDonald continue really what has been a season-long war between the two of them for second place.
Multi-time champion on the American Canadian Tour, Robbie Crouch. There has been some talk that he may go elsewhere next year.
There has been. Robbie Crouch really has had no comment on it so far. He's had a couple of offers to go and drive for other people, but right now he is firmly ensconced behind the wheel of the Glen Wright Motorsports car number 48, and right now he's got himself a pretty good battle with Randy McDonald and Kevin LePage.
Those guys aren't moving, but here's Jim McCallum again in car number 2, and the 8 of Mike Rowe. Two of the cars out here, maybe the best two that have had the most amount of experience on this track when it comes to total laps.
Mike Rowe ran here back in 85 and 86 with the American Canadian Tour. I don't believe he's been here since then. Jim McCallum, this is not a weekly racetrack. This is a special events only speedway, but McCallum, whenever they run, he's here. And you can see he's got that high line down to a science. Look out, Rowe crosses it up a little bit, and that's what happens when you try and pinch these cars down low and make that move to make the pass.
Exactly, and the track surface here is very abrasive too. You notice as the cars are getting around here, not so much with the leaders, but the cars back from 5th to 10th place, starting to get a little loose here as the back tires start to go down.
This track is really just about the opposite of what you see anywhere else. As the race goes on and the tires start to go, the cars won't start drifting high. They'll have troubles getting down low. Everybody's high to begin with, but as the track gets a little greasy, we have had some periodic sprinkles here this afternoon from time to time, and as the tires go away, everybody's going to move up just a little bit more.
Here's the way the field looks here at the halfway point. We're watching Bill Zardo Sr. in the all-on crane service Ford Thunderbird in behind the 00 of Roger LaPerle. Zardo Sr., another one of those guys who wants to finish in the top 5. He makes his move right around the halfway mark. Like he's
got a shot to finish in the top 5, clearly. He'd like to move up all the way to 4th with a good run here today. And so far, the Z-Man has had that kind of a run as he and Roger LaPerle drafted down the front straightaway.
Mentioning it again here in the last event on Raceline for the American Canadian Tour. That is Junior Hanley's car from last year. Let's go on board now with Bill Zardo Sr. out of Brampton, Ontario, and get you an idea on how you work one of these things around Thompson.
High speed down the straightaway into the corner, and you can see that car's handling pretty well. Was handling pretty well for a minute there. Then he crossed it up just a hair and had to counter steer, sawing the wheel momentarily, but that car is set up pretty well. He's down right in the middle of the prime racing groove, and he's looking to move up.
Yep, the leaders, as we mentioned, handling very nicely, and we're back up here with Randy McDonald, LePage, and Crouch. They're nice, but then back in the pack, some of the cars starting to get a little bit wiggly in the corners, a little on the loose side.
And you know, Eric, it's nothing dramatic at this point, but Randy McDonald has begun to reel in Junior Hanley just a bit here in traffic. On an open racetrack, the 72 appears to be clearly the dominant car. But in traffic, when he has to move a little bit higher up that racetrack, well, there you see it. Hanley, half a car length, and then McDonald as they work around the lap cars.
The leaders snake their way through the field, Dave, here getting by the 56 of Dan Beatty there. I'm kind of surprised he's a little stronger here, but that's not his normal ride, is it?
No, he blew the motor in his car last week. He's hopped a ride in the Ron Saldi automobile. Not set up for the big track. Dan Beatty, one of those drivers in the hunt for a top 12 finish. He just had to pick any ride he could find here today at Thompson.
David Whitlock, okay with all those tires. He had a flat earlier on here, really slowed him down, but he's staying down in that lower groove. The car is off speed. Now Junior gets involved with a little sheet metal here with the 01 of Randy McDonald.
Randy McDonald has got himself a very stout race car. He put it right down on the bottom of the racetrack, seemingly with no effort whatsoever. But Junior Hanley, with the lap cars as a buffer, holds on to the lead as they work around the 25 of Robbie Thompson. Next in line will be Tracy Gordon in car number 17. Hanley and McDonald now beginning to heat it up for the number 1 position.
This race here, the Chevrolet 100 at Thompson, started late in the afternoon. With the cloud cover that we've got, the lights have come on here at the Speedway. You can see the glare of those lights off the windshields.
Junior Hanley down the back straightaway, once again reeling in young Tracy Gordon. Another, and it seems like the list is endless, of those talented young drivers from the state of Maine looking to make a full-time run on the American Canadian Tour next year. Gordon, though, right now looking in his rear-view mirror as he's got a rear view full of Junior Hanley.
That is a scary sight for anybody on the American Canadian Tour, as Junior and Randy McDonald and LePage and Crouch in a freight train swing by the pack down in the lower groove.
In the last 10 laps, it's gone from a one-man dance to a two-man show, and now it's 4, as LePage and Crouch have closed in on the back bumper of Randy McDonald. Things getting a little bit interesting now as the lap cars come into play.
Derek Lynch in the 15, he mentioned he was down on power, very evident there running the lower groove. And Ralph Nason in car number 10, one of the few campaigners out here that have actually competed on Thompson. He says, yeah, I'm down on power too, but he's happy with the setup. He's staying clean, staying out of trouble, but he's decidedly back here.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not so much that they're having bad days, it's the pace being set by Junior Hanley, because Ralph Nason right now is running in the 12th position. Right in front of him is Bill Zardo and Roger LaPerle. So these guys, with not many caution flags to bunch things up this afternoon, they're just a victim of Junior Hanley's pace.
Just saw Junior in the 72 and the Randy McDonald 01. There's Ralph Nason boxed in there beside LePage in the 21.
Ralph Nason, the veteran, gets down out of the way, lets the leaders have their day, lets them move on by and continue their battle. Next in line, the 00, Roger LaPerle, always a tough competitor, tough guy to get around, as Randy McDonald, Kevin LePage, Robbie Crouch all keep it single file as they dive down the backstretch into 3.
And watching Zardo Sr. here, Dave, that car is getting looser all the time.
Well, that's what we expected to see. The Z-Man, the lapped car, trying to hold it downstairs. And again, as these tires get worn out, it's going to be very tough to run the inside of the track. But hey, tell it to Robbie Crouch as he throws it downstairs, goes after Kevin LePage, but not going to work. Lapped car, Jeff Taylor dead ahead.
One of those lap cars we mentioned, Claude Leclerc, car number 11, who won the last ACT race here. He's boxed in traffic, has not been able to break out at all, really.
Not going to happen for him today, as he is back around the 14th or 15th position. Junior Hanley now pulling up on Bill Zardo Jr. Randy McDonald, LePage, Crouch still right behind him. Nobody's been able to make a move for the lead, Eric, but since early on, Hanley has had things pretty much his own way. Now, no doubt about it, he's got some worries on the back bumper.
Junior Hanley now trying to work on the back end of Claude Leclerc, as we mentioned. He has really been boxed in here and really can't break out, but now they don't seem to have any trouble working through traffic at all. Junior in the 72, Randy McDonald in the 01, and LePage is sort of following each other to stay out of trouble.
Well, I think we need to give a tip of the hat to Claude Leclerc and the other drivers that have gone a lap down here in the last couple of circuits, because they've gotten down out of the way. They have not made Junior Hanley roll the dice and try and figure out which lane they were going to take. You know, these drivers, for the most part, are all veterans. They're all former race winners, and they know that somewhere down the line, they're going to have their day when they're going to want a Junior Hanley or a LePage or a McDonald to pull down and give them a little racetrack, too.
This just could be a replay of about a few minutes ago on the Sony Dynamax underneath the bumper cam of Randy McDonald. LePage is still trying to duck down on the inside. It hasn't worked. Maybe he can do it after we come back from Thompson on Raceline in a moment. Welcome back to Raceline from Thompson International Speedway, Thompson, Connecticut, the Chevrolet 100 on the American Canadian Tour. Eric Thomas, Dave Moody, and John Massingbird, and the man who has led this thing right from the start. The green flag initially, Junior Hanley, and look where he is.
JR looking for his 10th victory in 23 starts. You know, the record for a season up until last year was 6. Held by Robbie Crouch.
So much for that.
Hanley upped the ante in 1991, and he's completely blown it off the map here in 92 with 9 wins so far. And I've got to say, despite the fact that, again, we see Hanley loosening up a little bit coming out of the corner, so far he looks like he's on a rail for number 10.
Yeah, when he came out here, for those of you just joining us at the top of the show, he came out here having never driven on this speedway before, went all the way around, went to the pits, changed springs, changed shocks. So far the car is sticking really, really nice. And the guy who's been challenging Junior all season long continues to challenge here at Thompson, with Randy McDonald in the 01 and Kevin LePage fighting for a top 5 in the points up there as well, and so is Crouch in the 48.
You know, Eric, what a luxury. Among these top 4 drivers, there's only one guy out there that really has absolutely no pressure on him whatsoever. Junior Hanley has locked up the ACT title. He's locked up the GM title. He's locked up the Bud Triple Crown. He's locked up $250,000 already.
For the second year in a row.
Yeah, so fine. If Randy McDonald gets around him, well, we didn't win the race, but hey, you know, no crocodile tears for Junior Hanley. Everybody behind him, though, has got a lot on the line here this afternoon. They're thinking about the race first. they've also got some other things to worry about.
Yeah, but a race is a race is a race to Junior Hanley. I mean, there's a challenge out here. He wants to make it an even 10 wins. So even though there's no pressure on him, well, look it, he could be back in the pack, saving the equipment for next year. But he's out front and letting it all hang out here.
Oh, yes. Don't get me wrong. Don't assume that a lack of pressure implies any lack of effort on Hanley's part, because he knows only one way to do it when he's on the racetrack. That's put the hammer down and go to the front. I don't recall the last time I saw Junior Hanley stroking around in the middle of the field waiting for the finish. He prefers to go out, just lay waste to the competition, beat them all by the halfway mark.
You saw that car wobbling just a little bit coming out of that corner. Maybe it's getting a little bit worse. Who knows? And then you look at Randy McDonald here closing up, and we've got a spin here in the infield.
Donald Teege down on the inside, tags the inside retaining wall in the front straightaway. That's going to bring out the caution flag once again. The youngster from Charlesburg, Quebec, Donald Teege in the Can-Am Leasing Chevrolet, took a pretty good shot into that inside concrete. Yellow flag is back on the field.
And with the raindrops in the air, once they hit that grass, Dave, it's like a curling rock or a hockey puck. You just go flying right into that wall here. Some damage?
No question about it. Let's go to John with the Castrol Tech File.
Hi, welcome to the Castrol Tech File. Today we're going to talk about racing seats, and that's one of the things that most racers take for granted, particularly when it comes to their own comfort and safety. The seat we're working with today is designed and manufactured by Steve Kirky of Kirky Racing Fabrication in St. Andrews, Ontario. A lot of the guys in the ACT circuit and Winston Cup use this style of seat. Let's take a look at how it goes together. First off, it's made of 50-52 grade aluminum, aircraft style aluminum. This extrusion around here goes around all the edges. It puts a lot of added strength into this seat. Down where the seat belt goes through, of course, the rubber gasket around here to stop any shredding of the seat belt. Moving up, a lot of guys are starting to incorporate the lateral leg supports. And of course, this is important. If the car gets upside down, you bang into the guardrail, it stops your thighs from hitting either the roll bar or the transmission tunnel. Of course, rib supports, shoulder supports, and head support is important as well if you're carrying around a 5 to 7 pound helmet on your head for 200 laps. Looking at the back, one of the exclusive features of a Kirky is this aluminum extrusion on the back that adds a lot of extra strength to this seat. And keep in mind, for side and front rear impact, that's really important that the seats stay intact and that you stay intact with it. If you race and sit down on the job, this is the kind of seat that you need to have. Don't ever take your safety for granted. Don't trust your life to anything less.
Well, so far, everybody here, Thompson's taking the back seat to Junior Hanley. Randy McDonald running second, Kevin LePage is third, Crouch and Beaver Dragon in fifth place.
Well, one more time, Randy McDonald will try it on the outside lane. Here they come. Down to the line, Hanley on the hammer again, just pulls away. McDonald ducks back in line in second. LePage, Crouch, and the battle between Zardo and Beaver Dragon.
Superior horsepower once again. That's been the story here with Junior Hanley. These restarts, almost a replay of the one before, a replay of the one before. And he's able to stretch out those leads on the straightaway up into the banking. Now look at LePage. This challenge has gone on all afternoon between the Shelburne, Vermont native and the Golden Boy from Oshawa.
It's really been a three-way battle at times. McDonald, LePage, and Robbie Crouch. McDonald will pull away for a while, leaving LePage and Crouch to battle. Crouch will drop back a bit, leaving McDonald and LePage to go at it. But the one constant has been Kevin LePage. We've got yellow, and Dan Beatty's in the fence.
Dan Beatty up in the wall here, and a tough break for this young man. It's been that way all year. There isn't a guy in ACT quicker out of the box than Dan Beatty. Coming into October, 4 consecutive pole positions. If you can just carry that momentum through to the checkered flag, he'd win some, but it's been breaks like this that have really plagued him all year.
Unfortunately, it looks like the end of the afternoon for the Country Music Club Trust Shop Buick. Hopped a ride, as we mentioned, and now he's going to have to take it home in a basket as he took a pretty hard shot into that outside wall in turn 1.
Now we're getting down to the closing stages of the event here. No doubt just got up too high into the marbles, and off she went into the wall.
Well, on the restart, you know, a lot of cars back in the pack, still 2 and sometimes 3 abreast. Dan Beatty still in the car, still has the helmet on, but I guarantee you when he gets back to the pits and the crew takes a look at the way the rear end is sitting off kind of on an angle, that'll be the end of his day.
Well, you got to hope things are going to get better in 93 on the tour for the Barrie, Vermont native Dan Beatty.
Set for another restart. Again, Hanley and McDonald. Again, LePage and Crouch. We'll see who can get the job done this time. Down to the line they come. Chief starter John Hulbert. Whoa! Hanley crosses it up, and he almost dumped it. No green.
No.
They take one.
Good job, John Hulbert. They were not ready to come out of that corner. Junior Hanley got on it, got really squirrely. Everybody started to scatter. The There was no way they were lined up correctly, and I wish more starters would do that, Dave.
Good night, nurse.
Yeah.
That was close for Junior Hanley. He's had no problems today, but he almost threw it away in the face of the field in turn 4. And again, that's just another indication, Eric, that the tire wear may be coming into play for JR.
But I'll tell you what, these caution laps are going to cool those tires down. That's going to really get the grip to change here for some of these drivers. Now they come out of 4. Do we get a green this time? Yeah, we certainly do. When the restart happens, the Chevrolet 100 into the closing stanzas.
And this time, no adrenaline rush for Junior Hanley as he keeps the 72 pointed straight and true down the back straightaway. McDonald second, again under the gun from LePage, but again we've got a caution as Robbie Thompson has shut down and his car rolls to a stop in turn 3.
Young Robbie Thompson out of Owen Sound, as he had a lot of bad luck this year. He has wrecked a lot of machinery in 92.
And this, I believe, is a mechanical problem as they get him pushed back to the garage area. Chief starter John Hulbert crossing them over again. Clinch green flag is up. And next time by, they'll try it again as somehow now Randy McDonald has got to find a way to get a jump on Junior Hanley.
Well, these caution periods, as we're just talking now, as Robbie Thompson says, push me all the way. I don't feel like walking. Going to cool these tires down, and that is going to make the restarts of these things very, very interesting. So hang on, we're not done yet.
Junior Hanley on the inside, McDonald on the outside. Once again, LePage and Crouch fill the holes right behind them as they get set for a go. We're down to crunch time now. It's starting to get serious in the final event of the year for the American-Canadian Tour as they bump a little bit coming out of the corner. And this time, Junior gets a big-time jump, and Hanley is gone.
Yo, look at no green flag again. And John Hulbert has decided that he's not going to put up with this. McDonald and Junior got together, a little bump there, kind of rag it off the alignment coming out of the corner, and no green flag. That's got to get everybody's heart banging there. You're expecting to see the green. You want the foot to go all the way down.
Look at this now. Watch Hanley and McDonald. That's about the 3rd time now that they've just kind of rubbed each other a little bit. Hanley trying to stake his line. McDonald trying to take a little bit away. Let's see what they do this time. Here comes Hanley out of turn 4 on the hammer. Green flag is out. A huge jump for JR. And this time everybody's straight and they get a green.
Well, John Hulbert liked the look of that one, and he lets him go this time after 2 false starts in the last few laps here, and Junior Hanley gets the jump on the field again. LePage right on the back end of Randy McDonald. Those guys aren't done battling, and Crouch is right there too.
Eric, I think you hit the nail on the head a few minutes ago when you said these caution laps have allowed everybody to cool their tires. Under green, Hanley clearly had begun to fade a little bit. We've seen that car get sideways. He almost dumped it in the face of the field on a restart. But with 4 or 5 laps to cool the tires, Hanley once again now is in a class by himself. He gets out of Dodge and lets McDonald, LePage, and Crouch have a gunfight among themselves.
Oh yeah, the Ford up front is really sticking well. This looks like it could be the first 2 or 3 laps of the race, not the last couple of laps here. And look at LePage here, still battling with Randy McDonald. These guys have been going at it right from the very beginning.
And again, it bears repeating, there is more on the line here than 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place in a race, because these 3 guys can all move up or down in the point standings depending on how this little battle comes out. The battle at the front, though, is just about over. Junior Hanley a half a mile away from win number 10 of the year.
White flag from John Hulbert. Just one more circuit of Thompson International Speedway. Our first visit to this historic facility, and what a run it's been for Campbellville, Ontario's Junior Hanley. Let's watch everything back here for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, but Hanley's going to make it an even 10 wins in 1992.
McDonald comes home in 2nd, LePage is 3rd, Crouch is 4th, and you know, somehow it's fitting. Junior Hanley closes 1992 the same way he opened it.
There's the finishing order. Hanley, McDonald, LePage, Crouch, and Mike Rowe. Now the calculators go to work to figure out the final point standings.
There's no question that Junior Hanley's going to be the man on top, but from there on back, it's going to get interesting. Dragon with a good run. Kim Wallace, Jim McCallum, Ralph Nason. Hey, how about that for Bill Zardo Jr.?
Top
we
10.
talked about him being underfinanced and underpowered, but a good run for him today.
Back to talk with the winners on Raceline from Thompson in a moment.
Well, as he gets unbuckled, clearly a stellar year for this man. It started with the Budweiser Triple Crown, on to win the GM National Stock Car Series, and then 3rd, last but not least, the overall ACT Points Championship. Junior Hanley, congratulations, a terrific win again today.
Well, you know, this car was really working good, and this is the first really race that I could really race, and it didn't really make any difference because, like, we had the championship locked up, and if we finished good, and if the car run good, it you know, like, it just run good all day.
Junior, it looked in the late stages that you might have burned some rubber off. It seemed that you slowed down. Was that just caution on your part, not wanting to burn the car down?
Well, like, the car was really good at the first of the race, and I slowed up because I didn't, you know, I just kept Randy in sight, and at the end was a bunch of restarts, and that really messed the car up because then I had to run on the bottom of the racetrack. So, like, with hot tires, on the outside's better than it is on the bottom, so that was...
Well, congratulations to Junior Hanley, the winner of the Chevrolet 100 from Thompson, Connecticut.
What a finish to the year for Junior Hanley. Brings home the checkered flag for the 10th time this year. You wonder why this guy is the best short track stock car racer in North America? These are the stats to prove it.
Well, there's the one. 19 top 10 finishes out of 23 starts. How do you beat a guy that is that consistent and that fast? 1,039 laps out of a possible 3,650. And there's the big stat right there. No other stat matters. $271,205.
Don't forget, this is the second season in a row that he's pulled in these kind of totals.
I think we rounded that off to the nearest dollar, too.
Final point standings, Hanley on top, already clinched coming into this event. Randy will finish second, Robbie Crouch third. Zardo Sr. does finish in the top 5.
And in the battle for the top 10, Kim Wallace, the Rookie of the Year, closes out in the number 10 position.
Second place finisher, Randy McDonald. Randy, a great race this afternoon. You were dogging Junior all afternoon, but he seemed to pull you on the restarts.
Yeah, he's got it hooked up a little bit better on the horsepower area of things, but we could definitely go in a lot harder and just, if we were smooth coming out, we could close on him, we could run in traffic a little bit better. But I mean, all our racing was in 3 and 4 under yellow, so.
Randy, you had him, you pulled him on one of the restarts. They threw the yellow flag. Obviously, you were disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, he's on the inside. He gets to set the pace, and it's his advantage. He got sideways coming out of 4. That's his fault. We were in the right place at the right time, and I mean, it should have been green. It would have been a different story, I think. But either way, I mean, it would have been a fantastic 4 laps to the finish, that's for sure.
Randy, it was a great year for you in the GM Parts Pro Shop Chevrolet. What about next year?
We're working really hard on some things. You know, we've been talking about Winston Cup for a long time now, 30 years old, and I mean, we feel like it's the right time, and we'd really like to do it. And just got to try and convince somebody that we're worth the risk, worth the money. And I know Scott Goodyear, he's doing a lot of stuff for Canada now, running in Indy, and I'd sure love to be the guy to do it for Canada and Winston Cup.
Well, I know everybody wishes you best of luck. Congratulations on a good year, Randy, and a great run today.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it. Hope everybody enjoyed the year.
Time now for the Revell Model Performance Driver of the Race. He hopes everybody enjoyed the year, and Randy McDonald had a great year this year.
And certainly a second place finish here today will do nothing to diminish the success of his 92 campaign. Great run for Randy McDonald in the GM Parts Chevrolet.
Congratulations, Kevin. Third place today. A nice run, but not quite enough to get around Junior and Randy. You look good, though.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, Junior won the championship, Randy finished second. And for me to come and finish third, I mean, those are the 2 toughest customers we got on ACT.
Kevin, you've had a tough year. You've had some accidents that weren't your fault, and it's been a tough year on you. But you've shown flashes of brilliance. The car's been very fast, and, of course, your driving skill is beyond reproach. What's it going to be for you next year, next time around?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, we wrecked a new car up in Mosport about a month ago, and we brought this old car out, and it's been good for us, so, you know, in the last half a dozen shows. Right now, we're looking forward to next year. We're going to build a new car. We're going to have the old car. We got some big sponsor names that we're going to announce, along with DF and Allen Lumber. And the way we look at it right now, to finish third, the way our season's been, we can only win races next year.
Well, I'll tell you what, if there's anybody that can do it in ACT next year, it's Kevin LePage. Congratulations.
Thank you, John.
Dave Moody, we did 7 events of the American Canadian Tour on Raceline this year. Junior Hanley winds up winning 4 of them. Just another barometer of the man's brilliance.
Overall, 10 wins and 23 starts for Junior Hanley. A fitting way to close out 1992. He started out a winner. He finishes up a winner. He was a winner all the way.
Well, we've had a great time with the American Canadian Tour here on Raceline. Dave, we've had great competition just about everywhere we've gone. We just can't wait to get started for 93.
How soon? April? How many hours until opening day?
Let's go right now.
Let's go to work.
All right. It's been a great time with the American Canadian Tour here on Raceline. Junior Hanley dominates. He wins his second consecutive championship, and he wins the Chevrolet 100 here at Thompson. That's going to do it from here. On behalf of Dave Moody and John Massingbird, I'm Eric Thomas saying so long from Raceline.
Racing radio is provided by New Venture Communications, London, Ontario. In-car and wall cameras supplied by Sony Canada, makers of the Sony Handycam. Raceline transportation provided by Chevrolet.
Raceline has been brought to you by GM Parts, the expert choice. Kodak Gold Plus Film. You can't keep the moment without Kodak. Castrol XLR, the oil engineered for today's cars. Revell, the world's model maker. And by Budweiser Racing. It's a Bud race.
Questions or comments for Raceline? Drop us a line at Post Office Box 551, Caledonia, Ontario, NOA 1AO. Or give us a call at 416-765-0170.